what's up everyone? Omar the Car Hacker here, and today we're going to talk about what you should expect when you are looking to buy a new car, sell your car, or even trade in your existing car. The current market has taken a little bit of a shift, but we are going to discuss today some of the changes that have occurred in the market, and a lot of the information I'm going to be presenting is sourced from Kelley Blue Book. So the question is now the time to buy, sell, or trade in a car? So some quick facts about the car buying process and selling marketplace. Average new car prices fell again this last February. Additionally, used car prices are still dropping, as I mentioned previously, but that may not last going into the spring, and we'll discuss that. Lastly, and most interestingly, Kia and Honda dealers were the only non-luxury brands charging over MSRP. We've seen several months of good news for car shoppers, myself included, and it's beginning to feel like the sun is out, or so we thought. And so far, new car shoppers have kind of had some luck. While still historically high, new car prices began a steady decline, and they are getting better day by day. Incentives, or if you will, those discounts that dealers and manufacturers advertise to tempt you into the showroom, started making a little bit of a comeback. Almost every factor that contributes to car affordability helped shoppers in February, from falling prices to rising income. And on top of it, monthly payments finally began to inch down from an all-time high, which was set right before last Christmas in December. Used car shoppers have also seen price drops in recent months, but again, that trend is probably not going to last too long. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk you through what you can expect if buying or selling a new or used car or trading one in. But the short version reads like this, guys. New car shoppers should wait and be watchful. Used car shoppers can hit sales lots now and basically count on a pretty reasonable deal. So where's the car marketplace right now? Prices dropped across the board in February. Both new and used car shoppers saw their outlook improve, but that might not last, like I said. We have diverging markets is what's essentially happening according to most economists. New vehicle prices kind of remain high, while used retail prices are steadily coming down due to the fact that you have places like Carvana and CarMax who missed their fiscal year number, and you're starting to see repos at record numbers. So new inventory is actually slowly stabilizing, while used supply is kind of building a cushion. And the reason is, like I said, you have an increase in interest rates, and you have people who are charging, these mom and pop dealers who are charging still sticker price for a used car. So I think what we're going to see, though, is we're going to end up seeing that these used car prices are going to start changing during the springtime. Most car shoppers remain effectively in both markets at once, with a car to swap and then hopefully one to trade in and get a new or used car. But rising used car values and falling new car prices are really going to be at a best case scenario for your trade-in when you evaluate that scenario. So here's what new car shoppers can expect. According to Cox Automotive, the final sales price of the average new car fell for 3 straight months, and in February, it hit around $48,763, causing for the sun to break through the clouds. After 2 years, by the way, of mostly rising prices. So a steady incline is a beautiful sight. The ongoing global shortage, though, of microchips still remains rampant, right? You still have the war in Ukraine going on. And this is a main force which is pushing prices to ridiculous heights. In mid-February, GM paused production of some full-size trucks to avoid building a backlog. This is in a previous video where I mentioned that you have auto manufacturers manipulating the market to maintain and optimize on their profit margins. I really don't know how this is going to be sustainable for them in the long run, but greed begets greed, as I said. And again, this is something that we haven't really seen since before the COVID-19 pandemic began. Meanwhile, as I mentioned in a lot of my videos, consumers need to be holding off on big ticket purchases because the Federal Reserve repeated an interest rate increase. And thankfully, that has caused dealers to begin offering more incentives and discounts in hope of generating more sales. But don't expect these new car sales to really be going off the rails like they did pre-COVID. Some brands, though, face bigger inventory problems than others. Honda and Kia, both these dealers are still struggling to keep popular models in stock, and as a result, they're still insisting on selling these vehicles over MSRP. But if you look at brands like Chrysler, Dodge, Ford, GMC, Hyundai, Mazda, Subaru, Volkswagen, they've all seen price declines between 0.25% up to roughly 4% month over month in February. From a used car market perspective, for used car shoppers, the news is temporarily better. Prices fell in February for the sixth straight month, hitting a low of $26,000. And the thing that we might want to ask is, why do 6 months of price drops make us nervous? Because there are signs the decline may end soon. It's not just going to forever keep tumbling down, right? When the stock market crashes, does it keep on going? Absolutely not. So the wholesale prices dealers pay for used cars at auction have started rising again. So essentially, the nationwide inventory of used cars for sale is starting to shrink as a result. And those aren't great trends for shoppers at the beginning of the busy spring selling season. As many Americans start to get their tax refunds and head out to used car sales lots, all signs indicate the price drop will slow or come to an end. And it's still hard to find the least expensive used car. Dealers, again, have a limited supply of the higher mileage cars that could sell less for 15 grand. So this brings us to another question. Will the supply chain problems end anytime soon? You may see headlines suggesting that the microchip supply began to ease. During a recent event with Genesis in Atlanta, those company officials said there were no more chip shortages, but chip makers are still playing catch up on automobile orders. It's important to actually remember that. Still, the new car inventory may not return to normal once it even recovers. Automakers, manufacturers, dealer groups learned that keeping the supply of cars low allows them to charge more for cars. So the days of dealer stockpiles and hefty discounts may not fully return. This is where I emphasize to everybody to stay strong and hold your ground. Do not be giving away your money endlessly just because you want a car. If you need one, it's a different story. Pre-pandemic, Americans routinely bought more than 17 million new cars per year. In 21, they bought just over 15 million. Last year, shoppers purchased close to 13.7 for new vehicles. But in 23, Cox Automotive, Kelley Blue Book are predicting Americans are going to get roughly north of 14 million new car vehicles. So we are in a paradigm shift. And I think the concern is that the auto manufacturers are learning and they're catching on. And I think those days of where we were seeing 20, 15, 10% discounts on really nice cars is coming to an end. Another thing to really consider for everyone, guys, is automakers are building more expensive cars. It's harder than ever to find an inexpensive new car, partly because automakers have stopped building them. There was a recent announcement that showed that vehicles that were priced $25,000 and less for brand new vehicles actually dropped by 78% in the last half decade, in just 5 years. What I mean by that is 5 years ago, automakers offered 36 different new models in that price range. And this year, they offered just 10 new models. Meanwhile, those priced at 60 grand or higher have grown by 163% in the same period. So if you hope to find an older vehicle and your budget is less than $15,000, these vehicles remain in short supply. More would be new car shoppers started buying up the available used cars. So here's something to consider. Older, less expensive cars are harder to find. So if you hope to find an older vehicle and your budget's less than 15 grand, those vehicles are going to really remain in short supply, okay? More would-be new car shoppers started buying up the available used cars the minute they had the opportunity. So the shortage of lower priced cars is partly due to really a lack of inventory. Now, another thing to consider is Americans are holding onto their cars longer than ever. The average car on American roads is now 12 and a half years old. Automakers also produce fewer cars for several years after the 2008 recession. That leaves fewer higher mileage, older used vehicles available to sale. So the easiest used cars to find are priced between $15,000 and $30,000. Cars priced under $15,000 remain few and far between. So how do you buy a car right now? If you want to purchase a new or used vehicle, be prepared for sticker shock. But take stock that your next car will likely last longer and help you drive safer than ever with all the technological advances that are being offered in the new cars today. Vehicle quality studies repeatedly show that today's newer cars suffer less problems than those from just a few years before. That means buyers of higher priced used cars will likely see the vehicle driving on the road even longer. And the same goes for those buying new ones. With most automakers now building really durable cars, they compete by adding more high-tech features like adaptive cruise control, Apple CarPlay. These are more common than ever in entry-level vehicles.